because you don't respect your body. And when you don't respect your body, you will die.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a fact. I'm not a health freak, but I do watch what I eat because that is very important.
Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't recommend that someone order a rack of ribs at every single event or outing that we go on?
No, I don't recommend that.
Right?
Are we talking about someone you know, Kyle?
Or might be
I mean, this is just me. Look, when I sit down and watch a nice football game, I'm there to watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to eat, I take my wife out there and have me a great dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I go there and have me a nice dinner. But I ain't got to sit in front of a TV with a bunch of ribs, man, to have a good time. With my boys.
Can you please relay that information?
And we can have a great time.
Relay that information to Mr. Marshall over there.
I love my ribs.
Kyle, just chop it up, man.
Oh boy.
Well, that's just me. I mean, look,
that's okay, brother. That's all right, man.
I'm not saying that people should follow that. Yeah. I'm just saying that it works for me. It might not work for everybody. So maybe some people can eat all that and still live. But I look at the fact of the survival rate. I mean, I don't know many musicians that's over 80 years old.
That's true. That's very true.
I don't know many people that's lived. I mean, look, that's over. And I'm so surprised. I'm surprised with George Foreman. That kind of struck me.
Yeah.
You know, with him. So it ain't about. It's not about how much money you got. It's not about that. It's about you respecting yourself and your and your body. You know, I got grandkids, man. I want to see my grandkids. I'm not saying I'm going to live forever because I know I'm on the downside of the mountain at 85. But I know that I can maybe squeeze a couple more years out of here. I can do some more sessions.
Right.
I can make some more gigs, you know, for as long as I can. At least they won't say, well, you know, Earl didn't care nothing about himself. And that's the fact.
It's a great thing. Yeah. Jeff Wyman, you had a question for Earl?
Yes. Now, fast forwarding a few years later, you had a chance to work with Eddie Kendricks.
Oh, wow.
You worked with Jimmy Ruffin, the Temptations.
Right.
And you had a chance to also work on the Four Tops, one of their albums as well. Was it different working with them, being that they had different, I guess, musicianship in Motown as it was compared to what you guys did?
Well, you figure like this: everybody, all singers are the same. They look for you to give them a hit record. That's the main purpose of a singer come to you, is to get a hit record to rebound their career. So you have to, first of all, you have to figure out what they have done before and what has made them a hit before, and can you either update them or, I mean, we did Clyde McFadden, you know, when he was at his worst, and try to update him. It's like called updating. And it's kind of hard to update a singer that's been in one vein all his life because people ain't going to accept you doing something new. So basically, Norman Harris has always been the leader of our crew. He's always been the man. So we look for him to, you know, for his basically guidance-ship on writing songs for people, and because I was always the one that was traveling all the time. So Norman took care of most of the interviews and because we did an album on the Temptations called "Here to Tempt You."
Yes,
it wasn't a great album. It wasn't a great album, and you know we didn't really know where to take them at because you know we try to take them out of the past and put them in the future, but it's hard to take a group out of that that's been singing certain stuff so long, like the Spinners and the new Spinners. It's hard to take them away and make them a whole new group.
Yeah.
So we had a really rough time doing that.
I just want to say though, Earl, that "Here to Tempt You" by far is my favorite Temptations. I know you said it's not a great album, but it's my favorite one. It's actually the one Temptations album that I think I have the most copies of. I have 4 different pressings on vinyl, 1 version on CD, and I bought it for my phone too. So I love that album from start to finish. So,
well, we did too, but we go for sales. People go by sales.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sales is what counts.
I guess that was 50% of that. But
like we put our heart into it, man.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like a lot of people don't know, that we produce. People ask me, "Did you play on Double Exposure 10%?" I said, "We produced it." A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know that we're producers also. They just think all we do is just play, like the First Choice stuff. And I mean, we produce a lot of artists, and we never really got known as record producers because we've been background musicians for so long, and
you were also with South Soul Records too, right?
Yeah. Well, what happened with South Soul was we were with MFSB, and we wanted to branch out from MFSB because MFSB there's really no such thing as MFSB. MFSB was just a name that they gave us because they didn't want to put names on the back of the album, so they call us. They call us anything, but I like my name on the back of the album, so they said, "Well, we ain't gonna be bothered with that." And it just for MFSB, and so we didn't care nothing. But I mean, there's no such thing as MFSB, really. There's no contract.
There's no mother, father, sister, brother.
There's no contract on that. There's no royalties. It's just something that's out there. So what we did, we went to New York, and we hooked up with the Curry brothers, Ken Curry,
right?
And they was doing salsa music. So we said we took the same musicians up there. And we got an arranger, Vince. We got Rent, and we said we're gonna start another label. So we went up there and got with them with soul. And that's why it's called South Soul, because it's soul music and salsa together. And we started cutting out, we took Eddie Holman, we took First Choice up there, and we started doing the same musician, same string, same horn, same people. But it's more.
Are you on Christmas Time Is Here? That song Denise Montana does. Are you guys on that too? Merry Christmas All. Merry Christmas All from Denise Montana and the South Soul Orchestra.
I did. Well, Denise was one of the first things that I did with her.
Montana, yeah.
Christmas Baby.
Merry Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, and then we did I did a lot with Vince before because I used to work with Vince as a trio, as a jazz trio.
Okay.
So me and Vince, we worked a lot of gigs together, man. Just doing Atlantic City playing jazz.
Okay. Wow.
I did everything to make some money.
You sure did.
There's no limit when it comes to that. Or let me just give you a brief on Tommy Bell.
Okay.
Because Tommy Bell is one of the greatest musicians I've ever known in my life. So, a lot of people don't know. Like when we was with Gamble, and I went over to Tommy Bell, and I did a lot of hits with Tommy Bell, and I couldn't read music. So Norman and Ronnie came up and told me, say, "Look, Earl, we're getting ready to go into some really hard stuff now. You're going to have to learn how to read." So Norman and Ronnie, they took me, sat down with me, and they taught me how to read, first and then second and then codas, Del Sigmas, So I actually learned how to read from my partners. They taught me. So because when I went into the studio with Tommy Bell knew I couldn't read. But you know what? I'm just saying how people give you a chance, but they believe in you. So Tommy always believed in me because my timing was so good. And that's the most important thing with a drummer is not so much how, you're playing all these drums and solo. Your timing is what that's a drummer's job, is to keep time.
Right.
So I was good at that, but I couldn't read the music. So Tommy Bell gave me a shot, playing all the Spanish stuff. So a lot of the stuff he had me playing like one thing all the way through, like one of a kind.
One of a kind.
Where I might get the snare and the tom-tom.
That's you? Oh man.
One of a kind, or all the other songs.
Yeah, Mighty Love.
I'll
Be Around.
That's why you might hear tom-toms all the way through the song and snare, because he wanted me to mainly keep time, because he likes big orchestra sound. So so he had one song, was the hardest song I ever played in my life. You know, it was the hardest song that I ever played was People Make the World Go Round.
Oh, stylistics, wow. Yeah.
That's the hardest song, and believe me, like people think when they hear these songs that there's a singer in the room singing. When you go in the studio, you don't have no singer. You got a piece of paper in front of you, and you don't know what the lyrics are like. All you know is your timekeeping and you reading them bars. You have no idea what the song is like. You don't know. So when people hear it, they think that you're following behind a singer. You're not following behind a singer. You're following that chart. So when I had to play this song, it had like 3 different time signatures. And there's no backbeat in that song. Everything is on a hi-hat. Like dun, 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 dun. And I had to go from like 2 beats to 3 beats to 4 beats. Like and you're playing that on a hi-hat cymbal with nothing but a piece of paper. I had no idea how this song. When I heard it, I said, "How could this possibly be a song?" I said, "This can't possibly be a song." And when I heard it, it went. Dun, dun,
oh my goodness! Yeah.
What a great record! What a great record!
I said, "Oh, this is pretty cool, man.
Yeah, man.
This is pretty cool." I was playing some good. I didn't know what I was doing, man. I was just reading. Okay, or you play 2/4 here, 3 beats here, 2/4, and if you miss 1 beat, the whole song is destroyed. I mean, you couldn't miss 1 beat.
Wow.
I had to read every single note.
Now they weren't doing punch-ins then, Earl, were they?
Look, the guy used to tease me, man. Said, "Look, Earl was reading that note and a fly flew on the paper and he played that fly." But seriously, that's a hard. If anybody, because
oh my goodness,
Tommy went to school for opera. I mean, all that kind of stuff. He is a true musician that can play anything. He ain't no guy just sit in the house and just bang on the keyboard. He got the knowledge of constructing any kind of orchestra of music. And I have much respect for him, because mostly behind the fact that he took a nobody guy and he taught me, so much, about music, and because I learned most of the stuff I learned in the studio. I didn't go in there thinking I'm some bad dude that I can play anything. I learned as I went
on the job.
And this is the main thing, about learning is listening. If you listen, you learn. A lot of people, "Oh man, I'm a bad dude, man. I can play this crap, man. So give me a pair of sticks, man. I can play Count It Off."
Yeah.
That ain't what's happening. You listen and you learn. You listen, because nobody is the best. Nobody is perfect. I hear people say, "Well, man, this is the best drummer in the world, man. This guy." And I tell drummers like that, and I hate to hear that, because I hear people say, "Oh man, this guy is the best drummer in the world," and the fact that makes me mad, because there is no such thing as the best drummer, because I can't go, and I mean, even if say Miles was here, I couldn't just run in and just sit behind Miles and just automatically start playing.
Right, exactly.
And he couldn't have his guys come and sit and play no disco
what you're
music.
doing, that's right. Kevin, you had a question for Earl?
Yeah, we talked a lot about, like the Philly soul and the disco and stuff, but a lot of people don't realize that Earl had a lot to do with house music as well. And 10 City and stuff like that. Can you tell us how you hooked up with 10 City and how that all came about?
Well, Byron is like my son, man. He needed a drummer to go on the road back in the 70s, and I didn't know. I was playing disco. I was playing disco music. He said, "I need you to play, to do some gig." So look, I wasn't no house guy, man. I wasn't no house guy. I said, and I always thought of house music. But house music was always a music that didn't have a hi-hat cymbal in it. It didn't have all the stuff. So it's different.
Yeah.
So I went on tour with him, man. And these were some young boys. I said, I want to go with these young boys, man. And I was an old man. I was an old man on the tour, and I had my 5 drums, and my 5 drums is like some big drums, man. They big, boy. Right. They my original studio drums I had for over 55 years.
Right.
And I still have them. I still play. So I went on tour with him, man, and I said, I'm gonna see what these young boys got. So I went on tour, man, and we played. And before I went, he said, look, I want you to play, actually, I want you to overdub this song I got, because that's the way love is. Mm-hmm. So he had already cut it, but they was on Atlantic Records also, so I think they recommended me. So I came in and they took the drums off of it, and they gave me a track, and I just took the music track and just laid my 4-on-the-floor groove on That's the Way Love Is. And they call it the underground version of That's the Way Love Is. And we toured, and I showed, like, we went on, like, we was doing gigs, and I said, look, man, let me get off the drums and open up for y'all, man. Let me open up, bring y'all on stage. And they let me bring they let me bring them on stage. I never forget. I said, ladies and gentlemen, how about getting a round of applause to the #1 house music group in the world? Let's go disco. And he said, man, don't you ever say disco on my we house music group. I said, okay. And but it was so funny, man. It was so funny. But we have a great relationship, man, me and Byron, man. And we toured in Japan, all over Japan, man. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from these young boys, and they learned a lot from me. So I was like dad on the road, man. I was like dad on there.
That's awesome.
And it was so much fun. I said, yeah, well, the only difference between house music and like disco dance, because we use that hi-hat a lot. Right. And we use conga players. So nowadays they don't use congas no more. They took out the congas and they took out the hi-hat symbol, and they still call it disco, but it ain't really disco if you don't have that hi-hat. And they tried to get it on the drum machine, but you can't get that hi-hat feel on those drum machines. No. You can get but
ain't nothing like the real thing though, Earl. Real thing. Yeah. Julian, go ahead.
Quick, speaking of young boys, I was looking at the
young. He's a resident young man here.
I was looking at Gold Records. I know you have, I think, Mary J. Blige up there and a little bit of 50 Cent up there. Is that mostly from sampling, or did you get a chance to really sit with some like contemporary artists and maybe learn from them, or kind of shed some light on their process?
Well, Mary J. Blige, 50 Cent, The Game, they sampled my music. So by them sampling my songs, they presented me with the platinum album. There was one song on the first album called Rubber Band. On the first album you held up, it's called Rubber Band. Okay. They sampled that song and they made it into a rap song called Love It or Hate It, which is all. Yeah. They was on all one label, so they all put this one song on all their artists. So they sampled this one piece of music, from Rubber Band on the first album, on all their artists, and that was some big bucks.
Yeah, I remember that song. Love It or Hate It, Underdogs on Top.
Because all of them went 5-time platinum.
Yeah, awesome.
So I mean, I didn't really make a hell of a lot of money because I didn't write the Rubber Band song, and I didn't really have all the publishing on it. But as an artist, it was my group, which was pretty good. So I don't never mind the rappers sampling. I mean, I tell them sample away.
When it's done well, exactly.
I send them songs they want to sample.
I respect that.
Kyle, you had a question?
Yeah, hold on, my mic's off. Sorry.
I got you, brother.
I'll take that part out in post. But no. So you were saying that "People Make the World Go Round" is the hardest song that you had to play, and it's one of the most consistent songs that I hear live from R&B cover bands around, especially around here. Yeah. And I was wondering, it just got my train of thought going. Do you ever really have the opportunity lately to see bands around in clubs play the songs that you recorded, the songs that you originated? And when you do, what is your biggest observation about how people interpret the songs that you played?
Well, when I go to a club or sometime on Facebook, I hear a band playing, and I always congratulate them, tell them that they're the best, because first of all, they're using my song, and I really appreciate that. But most of the time, they're not really playing it with the right groove, because a lot of people don't know that Disco Inferno is like on the upbeat, and a lot of people don't know they play it on the downbeat, like it's like on it. But they sound good, and I always appreciate that. I never tell anybody that they're not playing it right or they don't sound good, because the fact that I appreciate the fact that they even went in to even record, my song, whether I get royalties from it or not. That's like an honor for somebody else to, to play my song. Sometimes I go to a lot of clubs and I hear a lot of white bands. It's more white bands that play Disco Inferno than it is black bands. And most of the time they're pretty good, because they play all the instruments and all the parts. And I see they've been rehearsing it, so they basically sound good. Now it's a different story with the singers, but the music is always sound perfect. That's a different story.
Oh. Yeah, I probably let you down a couple of times.
Jeff, what is that other 45? You got a 45 you want to show?
I have a 45 here called the United Four, called She's Putting You On.
Never heard that.
It's on the Hawthorne label.
Okay, that's Jimmy Bishop label.
And I have one of your 45s here too, also the Cordells, Beat of My Heart. Now,
that's 1961.
Wow.
Now,
I was like 20 years old. Yeah.
Now, was the Exceptions, the Whirlwinds, and the Cordells all the same group?
No. A lot of people, the picture that they have, that they say is the Cardell, as the Whirlwinds, is really the Cardells. The first one you got there, the Cardell with that one.
Every Beat of My Heart.
Yeah, that was the first record that we did. Then we did, and now the Exceptions is the one with Jimmy Ellis. The Exceptions, the Cardells were about around 1961 with that picture that they always show and say it's the Exceptions, and it's not. It's the Cardells.
Wow.
I was like 17 years old then, and but the Cardells, Cardells is the first group. The Exceptions is me and Jimmy together.
Okay.
That was the one that we first did. That was the one
Down by the Ocean.
And that's the song we did. Record hops. We did. People don't remember Hullabaloo and all these. With the high lit and Wibbage. I mean we've been around a long time. So we did all these little record hops like
the High Lit Show and all that. Yeah. Tommy worked with High Lit for many years, right?
Many years worked with High Lit.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Can I ask you one real quick? Okay, concerning Hold Back the Night. When you think about so much of your music that has stood the test of time, Disco Inferno, Zing with the Strings of My Heart, but Hold Back the Night, not only here in Philadelphia, but I know even down in the Carolinas, what they call beach music today.
Right.
That's one of the biggest beach music records. How do you feel about how your music has stood the test of time, so much of your music, and then new generations have accepted it almost that it's brand new music?
You know what? It's funny that a lot of people know the music, but they don't know the group. And the song is very big. Down south. It really beach music is Hold Back a Night was like number one.
Right.
And but they never seen the group. And that's so funny, because as long as we've been around, I tell you something that amazes me. As long as I've been around, singing the song, we never get booked in Philadelphia. I never worked in my own hometown. And this is this is one of the things that kind of disgusts me, because I mean, when you talk to me, because I talk to you up front about everything, because that's the way I am, and it always bothers me, because I'm a musician, and to me, I look at a sheet of paper that's written in black and white that Chinese people can read. And they can read the same music all over the world. So music is music. Yeah. Music has no color.
That's right.
But yet people break it down into being a color thing. And I never liked that, especially me being a musician. So they have like black shows, white shows. We can't book you on here because you're not black enough. Your music is disco music. So we can't book you into a black house. We can't book you into a black show. We can't book you into an R&B show. Oh, you got all white followers. You know, and this is one of the things about the music business that I never liked, because when we first came out, we automatically crossed over into a white market automatically with Zing. But if you look at the way it's built now, it's still built where it's black and white. And that is the sad part about the music business, because the music business should never have a color. So I never worked in Philadelphia. You know, it's my hometown. I never worked at Dell.
Wow, I never knew that.
I
did
never
not
worked
know
at
that.
Dell.
Really?
Never worked at Dell. Never worked at any clubs in Philadelphia, but where I started at is the High Line, you know, back years ago. So they don't book us on the 70s show.
That's crazy.
Soul
they don't
Train
book us
show.
on that.
Yeah.
I did Soul Train.
Soul Train Cruise. You do the
Soul
cruises
Train
though,
show.
right? Yeah.
Was it last year?
Right.
They don't want us to do the Soul Train no more because we're not black enough.
Oh, really?
I mean, this is a fact.
Crazy.
This is a fact.
I understand.
And you know, and that's the sad part about music. But I mean, look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, man. I did everything in the music business you could possibly be. Sing. I got 3 Grammys. I got my name on. I got 5 plaques on the Walk of Fame.
Walk of Fame in Philadelphia.
I had my own recording company. I got 2 groups. I got Grammys. But yet, I'm not good enough for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When they would go and get a rapper or somebody else in there that just to make money on a television show that they can draw. So when I look at the business now from an 84-year-old point of view, you know, it's a big difference, and it really should have to change, because this generation is not going to understand, you know, the good part of what it used to be. You know, it's not like that. It's not like that anymore. I mean, a lot of people should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's not that. I'm not down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they have their purpose of doing that. You know, I was lucky enough to be inducted into the Musicians Hall of Fame, and that means more to me because that's what I do. I play.
And music is universal, and it's colorblind, and it's multicultural, and everybody loves your music, Earl. And I want to take the time, because we could talk all day. You have you are a wealth of knowledge.
He is a walking
wealth of information.
encyclopedia.
Yes, indeed. And we want to thank you for taking the time out of your day for being part of the show here today, part of the R&B Showcase. Let's give Earl a round of applause and thank him.
Yes.
Earl, thank you so much, man.
Standing ovation. You know, for all the great questions and all the fun. It's been a pleasure.
It's been an honor. I want you to stand by. We want to thank you for being part of the show. I want to thank our co-host, Julian Seward. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you, Mr. Young. I really do appreciate it.
Kevin White.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Mr. Young.
Our producer in the back, Kyle Mack. The legendary Mr. Tommy McCarthy from Philadelphia Radio.
Earl, it's been wonderful being in your presence. Your rock and roll and Philadelphia music royalty, my friend. And a walking encyclopedia. God bless you.
And Jam and Jeff Wyman.
I'm working on now trying to get my sign.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, hopefully that's in the works. I think that's in the works.
Yeah, we got to get a street named after you. That'd be good. Yeah.
Definitely do. And
we're working on it.
All right.
Jam and Jeff, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to be able to talk to you and ask you questions today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Again, we want to thank you very much, Earl Young. My name is Tim Marshall. I want to thank you for joining us for R&B Showcase Live.